Right, welcome back to another video. My name is Brian Hafferkamp. I'm the designer and creator at the Clark & Addison Gaming Company. And in this video, I'm just going to give you a really quick little sneak peek at a college basketball game that I have in the works. It's very intensive as far as like you just kind of work your way through each play. And it plays slowly, but my intention is to just do Final Four teams. So the fact that the game takes a little bit longer is going to be okay because you're not going to be expected to play a full season. But maybe if it works out, I can crank out a bunch of Final Fours, and it'll be interesting to like replay those Final Fours in a more in-depth way. You can see here I have NC State against Purdue. This is from 2023-24, so it's last season. We have a team card, and then we have NC State over here and Purdue over here. We have our benches here. So these are basically the bench guys who played in the game, the rotation guys. And right now it is halftime. And we have NC State 24, Purdue 35. And so 35-24 is our score. At the half, it's Lance Jones, who's not in the game right now, but he's got 10 points. Lawyer has 11 for Purdue, and then it's Casey Marcel with 6, and DJ Horn, who's not in the game. You can see him here. DJ Horn, the starting guard, he has 5, and so does Taylor. So Taylor off the bench with 5 as well. And a couple of guys, nobody really in foul trouble. So I've been rotating players in and out. Edie has been in foul trouble for a while. He got his second foul pretty early, and so he's been sitting. But he got in for the last little bit of the half. And he'll be starting out in the second half. He's one of their top players. But the letters here are based off of number of touches. So don't think about it as, oh, he's the best 2-point shooter. He may be the best 2-point shooter. You know, he's an A. He's a 62% shooter, so he is the best 2-point shooter on the floor. But you think about it more as he got more of the 2-point touches. And really it's about 20% of all the 2-point touches on the team went through this guy. Same thing with the three-pointers, and then we have actual touches. So how many touches overall did this player get? And that's more like what percentage of field goal attempts did he produce? So these guys, Braden Smith shot most of the free field goal attempts. So between these two players, C is average, B is a little above average. And then it works in conjunction with the team chart, which you can see the play results here. So basically you roll for a play, and then you find out who did the play. So I've been rolling 3 D10 dice. So a 71 here is for me, and a 71 on this chart falls in this range. So it's a shooting foul, and then you roll to see who is shooting the foul. It's a 2-pointer. And so that's going to be a B. And so you just try to find your 2-point Bs on here. And you got these two guys. Since there's 2 of them, there's no real way to know who it was. So I just do a little roll. This is for the first player or the second player. And so it would be Marcel with the shot. And then he's being guarded by Lawyer. So that would be a foul on Lawyer. Now you can switch these guys around. You can see DJ Burns, I think, normally would start at the center position. But I put him up into the power forward position because this guy only has a C for his 2-point touches. That means he's going to get the ball less than this guy. So you can kind of manipulate who's guarding who and what positions they play. There's no, you can see there's no actual positions. It doesn't say point guard, power forward, small forward. Teams don't typically play that way anymore. They're just switching people all over the place. They're playing 3-guard, 4-guard sets. Their normal these teams' normal set is 3 guards, 2 forwards. So actually, Edie is listed as a center. He's 7'4". But so they have a more traditional 3 guards, 1 forward, 1 center. But NC State is playing 3 guards and 2 forwards, which, you know, I've got a 6'10" forward out there right now. So do you call him a forward or a center? They have him listed as a forward, but they have only guards and forwards listed on their team. But another 6'10" guy who is starting out there. So it gives you a little bit of freedom to deal with players. And really, one of the trickiest parts about basketball is trying to get the right amount of touches and shots into the right player's hands. Trying to get the right amount of assists into the right player's hands. Trying to get the right amount of steals and blocks and that kind of stuff. And that can be a really tricky part of any sort of basketball game. And so I'm trying to mitigate that by looking at who actually touched the ball more, and then trying to make sure that they get an appropriate percentage of touch possibilities, I guess, off of their team card. You can see that we have 2-point touches, 3-point touches, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals. So whenever there's in a block, you roll to see, you know, okay, it's an A blocker. We have one of those on here, so it would go to Edie. So that's how it works. And as you move players in and out of the game, you can see, you know, this guy's a C blocker. So he's a C. So if this guy were out and one of these guys were in, you would have a few C's and a D blocker. So that's just how many blocks go to that person out of the total. And then if you have multiples, let's say there are three guys with the same letter, I just roll red, white, and blue, and I just kind of go top down. I usually have it laid out like 5 from the point guard, so to speak, all the way down. And so that's how I usually lay it out. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I usually red, white, and blue if I have 3. And so this would be the third person down would receive whatever the pass, the ball, the steal, the block, whatever it is. So I've been doing that. And if I have 4, I've been rolling this little D4. So you just roll it. That comes out as a 1. You can see on the bottom there. So then it would be the first person in the list. If I was going this way, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's how I've been doing that. The D20 is to determine rebounding. So if there's a rebound possibility, then I roll the blue die with the D20, and it also is a marker for who has the ball. Anything 1 to 5 is an offensive rebound. All the rest are defensive rebounds. So rebounding happens at about a 25% offensive rebounding. Typically in basketball, happens at about a 25% clip. And so it feels about right. There are 5 offensive rebounds in the first half between both teams. So, you know, I don't know what percentage that is of the rebounds, but probably about 25% of the rebounds are offensive, which keeps the possession alive. And I've been playing possessions. So you can see here, I've just created a little score sheet here that you could use. I've got team fouls, first and second half. The player names, so I've listed all the players and their positions. This is first half scoring, second half scoring, rebounds, assists, fouls, turnovers, blocks, and steals. And then I'm also keeping track of their units of time. So I'm cutting their units into 10 blocks is roughly 3 minutes. It's actually a little bit less than 3 minutes. So each 10 blocks, whenever I get to this, you can see I put a line on the top. So each time I get to a 10 block, I look at who's on the floor and who's played 10 blocks of time, and then I just give them a mark. So you can see DJ Horn has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half. So 6 is roughly equivalent to 18 minutes. So he's played about 18 and a half minutes of the first half, but he also is on the floor for 33 out of every 40 minutes. So he averages 33 a game. So he doesn't come out very much. And, I'm just trying to match what they're doing in real life because I have their points, their minutes per game I have listed here. So you can see who's out there on the floor all the time. So these 2 point guards here, 33, 34 minutes. Edie at 32 a game. These guys, this guy comes in off the bench, but he only plays 9 minutes a game. So that's roughly 3, maybe you can play 3 or 4 blocks of time. So you got to be a little bit more judicious about how often he's on the floor, that kind of thing. So I think the game is really rounding out into shape. There's some things to figure out as you go along, and I have to kind of continue to codify some stuff, like there's a few edge cases of like how do you deal with when there's no player with that letter. Do you roll again, try to find another letter, or do you figure out a different way to do that, or do you can just choose? I don't have anybody that's a D 2-point shooter, so I'm just going to choose. You can, I want this guy to have more shots, or you can go with the guy. When there's no player, you can go with the person with the most. And then if there's multiple players, then you roll to see, which of those players is the one. So I have this for 4 teams. The other teams, these are the older cards here, but the other teams are UConn and Alabama. And you can see these are the old cards versus the new cards. You can see I put on the team colors and stuff like that. And then these are all you'll get every player that played on the roster. And so these are all just he played in 37 games, but he wasn't actually in the game. So I don't know if they just weren't playing him. This guy played in 13 games. So you're starting to get like into the bench kind of guys. He got into 36 games, but he didn't play in the final game. So you can decide whether you want to put him in or not. Playing 36 games, I mean, that's really, these guys are in 39 games started. It's 40, 41 over here. So that's most of the games he got into. And I don't know why he didn't play, but coach didn't rotate him in the Final Four. So this is I'm just going to focus on college basketball for now. There's not a lot of college basketball games, and so I just wanted to do something for college basketball. I haven't really been able to work out up-tempo for college basketball yet, which would be more of like a full season or a tournament or something, like a full tournament, and or maybe a best of. Right now I have kind of a best of idea. Best of the decade type teams. And I just haven't been able to work that out. To me, this feels like a good and right one. What I've done is I've gone through and I've taken each team's, so these are a little bit different for each team. You can see the M1 goes up to 65 here, it goes up to 67 here. And so their fouls are from 68 to 88, and the fouls here are from 66 to 88. So I do have more fouls on NC State than I do on Purdue. Now both of these teams didn't take very many shots from the free throw line in the actual game. I don't even know how that happened. It was like, I don't know, 10 or 15 total between both teams. So there wasn't much fouling going on in this game, but there's a little bit more if you look at their season on a whole. So I'm looking at not a game, but I'm looking at them as a whole. And how did they play throughout the season? So that's more where it's coming from. So I've got 2-pointers that go to 37. 2-pointers here go to 40. And then, so NC State is shooting more 3-pointers on the whole than Purdue is. And Purdue shoots more fouls. And then they have about the same number of turnovers for each team. You can see their team records here. So their overall and their conference records. What conference do they play in? And then it's got just a few stats here. You use the pace to figure out the initial pace of the game. So 69 and 68 means for every, that's how many possessions per 40 minutes that they get. So basically how many possessions per game. And 69 plus 68 is 68 and a half. So I round that up to 69. So you can see here we've completed the first half the first 69 possessions, and then this marks the completion of the second half. 138 is our total that we need to get to. So just playing this one out, and each possession, just taking it by the definition of a possession, which is like a shot and an offensive rebound remains one in the same possession. So if you get 4 offensive rebounds in one possession, then that's not 4 possessions, it's 1. So I'm trying to go by like statistically what is a possession. That way I can kind of get the statistics into a good place. So at the moment it's like Codename last team standing. I don't know what it's going to be called, but that feels like a good one because it's just Final Fours. And so I thought it was kind of a fun little idea. It would be not too difficult to crank out Final Fours, but it's a very detailed game. There's lots of like little moving parts, and I'll show a demo at some point, but just wanted to give a quick little look at what I've been putting together this weekend. And really it's just kind of come together this weekend, but it's bringing in concepts that I've used for some other like test games or experiments. So this concept of touches and things like that I did with a football game once as well, about how many touches, or it was really about, it was team based. So it was about grading out a team A, B, C, and D. And you know, you're trying to, with college teams, you're trying to like get them together into the same place, because there can be such a difference between them. But I figure if you're looking at the Final Four teams, they're probably pretty equivalent. I mean, you're not going to have any scrub bucket teams in the Final Four. They will have at least played well, you know, but they're not going to be a less than 500 team or something like that, and they get to the Final Four. So it's just probably not going to happen. Although they're under 500 in their conference, they were still 26-15 overall. So they were the worst team in the Final Four. Alabama was 25-12, and then UConn 37-3, and Purdue 34-5. So we wound up with the best 2 teams in the championship game last year, or the best 2 out of the Final Four. But I played, and NC State actually won one game that I played already, but I refinalized some things in, you know, I broke it out into 2-pointers and 3-pointers. Before I was just using just general touches, but I felt like some guys were getting 3-point shots that they shouldn't. Like this guy is a D. He didn't take very many 3-point shots, but he has an A touch, so he was getting too many shots. So I broke that out into 2-pointers and 3-pointers, and it's very helpful. And then when you get a shot, basically you just roll against their 2-point or 3-point range, and then does it go in or not? You know, there's no defense at this point, but it is very accurate because there's no defensive interference into the game, I guess. But honestly, there's not very much defensive information. College is different than the NBA. They don't have all the same stats, or at least availability at Basketball Reference. So it really is just more of an offensive focused game, even though I do have some defensive numbers on here. You can kind of see how good they were. Purdue a much better offensive and defensive team. NC State kind of right at average. So this is the game, and I'll have more about it, but just wanted to show. I put a couple of things online about it on the Facebook group. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, click subscribe, and you'll get notifications of new videos whenever I post them. And if you like this video, just give it a thumbs up. That's a super easy way to support the channel. And if you want to get more sort of behind the scenes or things I'm working on before I post them on a video, you can join the Facebook group. Just go to the Facebook groups, search for Clark and Addison Gaming Company, and then answer a few questions, and I'll let you in. And then you'll have access to some files. You'll probably be able to download this and play it. I'll probably put it in the file section at some point when I feel like it's in a good place. And then, yeah, we'll see where this goes. It's a nice little quick bite, and it's one of those games where you could pay $5, $10, whatever I charge for it, and then you would have like a self-contained 2023 2024 Final Four. So you would basically you could get 3 games out of it. You could replay it. You could combine multiple Final Four years and then have a little bit of a bigger tournament based off of different teams over the years. And I think that most of the teams, as long as we keep them inside the right era, would be able to play against each other. But you can probably play teams even outside the 3-point era against teams inside the 3-point era. I think the sky's the limit for a college basketball game, and one with a lot of detail. I don't think there's a lot of those out there from what I can see that have a ton of detail. So maybe too much. I don't know. It always starts as too much, but we'll see where this one goes. So this is Codename Last Team Standing, and would work with men's and women's basketball both. It will work with the NBA. I don't know why it wouldn't. It's just based off of basic statistical analysis and ranking, on basic stats like 3-pointers attempted, 2-pointers attempted, field goals attempted, etc., rebounds, blocks, steals. It's just like based off of super basic stats. So should be able to play for anything. All right. I think that's it from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.